Working today on a notification system for our generator. The basic idea is that when you have a generator, if it turns on, you basically have to change the oil or do other maintenance every 100 hours. And the problem that a lot of us generator users face is we're always afraid if you go away, if you're on vacation or you're out of the country or just away from your home for a week or so, and for whatever the reason, either because there's a power outage or because there's a wiring problem and your generator turns on, you're afraid that it'll go on, you won't know about it, and then after 100 hours it'll just keep running, and it will, without anyone to change the oil, it'll burn out the engine. People have had that; their generators have gotten damaged because it turned on and they had no way of knowing that it turned on, and that they had to change the oil. So the goal is you want to get some kind of notification system so that you could at worst maybe have someone go there and shut off the generator or change the oil if necessary. Well, the real problem is that if you use, let's say, if you have a Briggs and Stratton generator, you need to buy the kit. It's a $300 system, and it's basically a cellular system. And what that'll do is it'll send you text when the generator turns on and off. It'll send you information. It is useful, but it also does charge. They do charge a monthly fee for that. And so a lot of us, this is useful, but we really don't need that much information, and we don't really want to spend money on the monthly fee. So what we're trying to come up with is some system where at least you can get a basic text when the generator turns on and when the generator turns off. So what I came up with the idea is basically using a relay and a close contact sensor. So I'll show you the relay first. The relay is coming off the generator. I'll show you how I've wired it, and you can take a look at it. Let me get a good view. Okay, that's the relay. I'll put all the information in the description of the video. It's an elk relay, and basically, if you can see, it's not easy holding a flashlight and the relay. There's a normally open, a COM, and the normally closed. Now, I learned that you're better off connecting it to the normally open and the COM rather than the normally closed as the default state. And it's basically when power is applied to here from the generator, when it turns on, it will, let me see, it'll take the normally open and the COM, that circuit, and connect those two. And it'll take the normally closed and the COM and open up that circuit. So either whichever one you're comfortable with using with your sensor, you can use that as part of your notification system. I'll just give you a close-up. Yeah. It has a nice little light that'll turn on when power is applied. So when the generator turns on, it's basically going to turn on this relay, and it'll energize the relay and make the circuit. So basically, I'm going to have it set up, and this is from the generator, these two wires. I'm going to have it set up probably so that the normally open and the COM will close when the generator is energized. So now we need something to sense that. And I have over here a close contact sensor notification system. And basically, these systems are used for a number of things. One is it's used for, you could put a sensor on the floor. If there's water on the floor, you get a leak, it can send you an email. And of course, if you know, you can always email your cell phone and then you get a text. So basically, if you email, like in Verizon, you email your cell phone number, 10-digit number at vtext.com. It'll go to Verizon, they'll convert it to a text, and you'll get it as a text on your phone. Now, the thing to remember is that what we're assuming here today is that you will have internet during a power outage. I mean, obviously you'll have power in your house because you have a generator, but some cable systems in a blackout, you won't have internet access. We have Verizon Fios. Fios is amazing. During Hurricane Sandy, we were able to watch TV. That system it's fiber optic. I guess it uses very little electricity. That's able to run during a blackout. The question really is just will I have power in my house to run it, to turn on the router and stuff. And I will, because I have a generator. So the system will work. But of course, if you have cable and you don't think you'll have internet access during a blackout, this solution won't help you because it's communicating with your router. It's not cellular based. Okay, so I think it's possible to have a cellular solution, but that's not this solution. So I'm going to show you the system, and basically this is what it comes with. It comes in a box, and comes with an instruction booklet. It's the XW-111 digital input monitor, and basically this monitor's input, you can in fact use this, as I said, for a water leak detector. You could actually connect it to your burglar alarm system, because if you burglar alarm systems generally have also like a normally open circuit that when the burglar alarm goes off, it'll close that circuit, and you can then say have this immediately send you a text that your burglar alarm went off, and this way you would know that the burglar alarm went off immediately. And that might be useful to you. But we're going to use it to sense for the generator, to sense when the generator turns on that relay circuit. So here's what it is. It comes in the box. All that comes in there is this. It's basically a Wi-Fi device. Here's the back of it. It's actually a very nice little box. It's made by controlbyweb.com. And I also got the let's see what else. I got the power supply cable, 5 volts DC, 1 amp, very low voltage. Alright, so I've seen a few of these type. Let me just take a look at it. Alright, that's for the power goes over here. See that? And over there, the 3 green devices are ground, and it says IN1, input 1 and input 2. So basically, this can monitor, it appears, 2 different inputs and send you an email or a text, as that may be, based upon when there's a connection. So there should be it should say common or ground. All right, it says ground, and then 1. So we'll connect it to ground and 1. That'll connect to the relay, and this will sense when that relay has made a connection. So let's take a look at it. And I just wanted to point out one thing. You can really connect this to a multitude of relays. The one I was showing you up there is a 12 or 24 volt relay. You could choose 12 or 24 volts. And we'll see what kind of wiring I did outside. I'm taking 24 volts. Taking 12 volts off the generator. But there's another thing you could do. You can, if you look in the transfer switch, I have it closed, but basically inside, when that switch went down, inside the transferring over to generator power, there's a little switch there that puts out 120 volts, and you can connect that 120 volts to a 120 volt relay. And I'll show you an example of that. This is a number of relays. What this controls is, you can see you have inputs at the bottom, 1824, 0, 1824, 50, that's 115 volts or 230 volts. So it lets you have an input. You can monitor voltage up to 120 or 230 volts, and then you can, the output is normally open, common, or normally closed. So you could use this type of relay and take it off. So if you don't have if you have a different type of a generator, or you're more comfortable taking it off the transfer switch rather than the generator, you could do it that way and use a different type of relay. The benefit of taking it off the transfer switch is that you won't get the text when it's just doing the exercise mode during the during the week. You'll only get it when the power goes out. I'm going to get it by using it the way I've set it up. I'll get it every time it goes into exercise mode. Okay, so let's open it up and let's see what we're dealing with inside. Okay, so we have this. I popped it open, and here's what we have. Now, the really nice thing about this is, first of all, is it can run off the 5 volt from the 5 volts from the outlet. This little, I guess, transformer, and it also accepts batteries. Now, it accepts AA batteries. Now, this one goes like this, and this one goes like this. Now, this is really a useful feature for us because, first of all, you can run this off of line voltage or off of batteries. Now, the nice thing is if you put the batteries in and the power goes out, it'll just go to the batteries. So that's really useful for us because we're dealing with a generator. And as you know, when the generator turns on, generally it's because the power has gone off. So if you have the batteries in here, the unit is not going to reset because it's never going to lose power. And on some of these units, that's a problem because when the power goes out, the unit shuts off, then it gets powered up, and then you may miss the fact that the generator went on, or it'll sometimes send out text saying loss of power, back on, or you'll get these confusing texts when the device turns back on. So the point is, this is really just a nice, clean device. It's got battery backup. It's always going to be on. Of course, it may have to wait for your router to turn back on because the router is going to lose power in a blackout until the generator kicks back on, and that's got to reset. So in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll just plug this in as well. Let's just open this up. And plug that in. And that's pretty much it. Now, there's a few things you can note on here. It's a nice little circuit board. Very simple. There's 2 buttons. One is WPS for security, connecting it to your router. There's also something there, another button called Access Point. Now, this is where I think the beautiful design of this product really shines. And what that does is, in other words, some of these devices that I'm testing, you have to basically, to program it initially, sometimes you have to go attach it to your computer, and then give your computer a fixed IP address, like 192.168.1.10, and then from that fixed IP address, you can access the device, program it, and then you can then reconnect it, and the router will assign it an IP address, which is difficult to figure out which IP address it is afterwards because it'll pick a random IP address that's given from your router. This has this little button, Access Point, and what that'll let you do, this is a button where when you do that, it'll allow you to connect to it directly wirelessly. In other words, this will fool your computer or your iPad, I believe, into thinking it's an access point, and then you can connect to it and then program it. So that makes it easy to program. What we'll do is I'll program it. I'll put in an email address, and we'll test it to see whether that works. One other issue that I'm working on, and what the problem is this: I'd like to get notifications of when the generator turns on, and the reason is because it needs an oil change every 100 hours of use. So if I'm away, let's say I'm out of state, and the generator turns on, I'm not going to know, and after 100 hours it's going to get damaged. I'd also like to know in general, so if my kids are home, I can tell them, just lock the front door, keep those pesky neighbors out. So what I've decided to do is this. I've decided that the way to know whether the generator is on is basically when these gas valves get 12 volts. I know for sure that the generator is on. I mean, it could be on because it's exercising, or it could be on because there's a blackout. So I've disconnected these connectors, and you can see I tested it with the multimeter. The yellow one is in fact the positive and the black is negative. And what I'm doing is I created this little Y I've soldered it together wherever possible, and I'm going to attach this to the gas valve, this side, and then I have a Y. One will go to the computer controller that sends the 12 volts to the gas valve, turning it on, but it's also going to Y out, and it's going to go into the house to, I'm still working on it, but we're basically sending it to a relay, which will turn on whenever it senses the 12 volts. And I'm still working on that part, but the basic idea for now is I'm going to intercept the 12 volts coming into this electronic gas valve. And what I'm going to do is send it into the house to a relay. So you see, this is basically going to go to here. Oh, and the point is, I am a little concerned about doing this. I don't want to short out anything in the generator. So before I send it into the house, I've gotten this external, this outdoor fuse. It's basically an ATC fuse. And I've put in the lowest fuse that I can put in. It's a 5-volt fuse. It's upside down. So this way, if anything shorts out in the wiring, it's just going to blow the fuse. The rest of the fuses in the generator are 15 amps or 25 amps. So this will blow first if there's anything wrong. It's an outdoor fuse. Just close it up. So you put this connected to where the power went. Power from the generator gets connected to here. Same thing with the negative. Goes on there. I'll tape all this up, and then these two, here and here, go to the two extra wires that I had put in. That had run to the transfer switch. So these are in the house, and they're going to be connected to a relay, which I'll show you later. So I'm just going to crimp this up, and whenever the generator turns on, it's going to send 12 volts into the house, and that we can measure. And with a relay, it'll flip a switch. We have something intelligent that we can figure out how to send the message out. I mean, you could buy the Briggs & Stratton notification system, which is about $300, which that part's not bad, but you also have to pay $10 a month for a subscription, and I really don't want to pay $10 a month for this type of subscription. I don't like subscriptions. So I'm trying to come up with another system, and if it works, I'll show you. So it's pretty easy to program. I have this on my iPad. Basically, you log into it as an access point, and then you go to the website above, and basically you're able to log into it at that IP address. And here's the main page. It's a standalone, some basic information, Wi-Fi network. You choose your Wi-Fi network, and which will do. And then your email, you put in the email information, what you want the return email, that you want the 3 emails, up to 3 emails. You can choose what's going to get the, when the circuit is made, who's going to get the email, and then you can also, you're also going to put in what you want the description to be, and what the text should be when the input is on, and there's 2 of them, so it's input 1 and then input 2. So you want to set this up, and we'll do that, and then we'll check it out to see how that works. So I've programmed it to say description is house generator, either generator on, and when it's off, it's generator off. So we'll make the color green when it's on, and red when it's off. You can control 2 sensors. I'm only using one at this time, but you type in the information and then you hit submit. And that's it. You just want to set up a few other things. Connect it to the Wi-Fi network so that it can connect to your router. And pretty much that's pretty much done with the programming. Okay, so I've hooked it up. You can see these 2 wires go from here That's the contact sensor on the device. And it goes up to the relay, which is going to get power. And I've hooked it up as they recommended to the normally open circuit. And I was able to program this. It took a lot of time, but the company was very nice. They had a very patient customer service department. The tech support helped me out in doing the programming, the IP addresses, and getting it working. You can actually test it on their website. It's really great. They have one hooked up, and you can put in your information and see whether it'll send you a text appropriately. All right, so what we'll do is it's working where when the relay closes the circuit, this will sense it and it'll send out a text that the generator's on. And when the power goes off, that circuit again will open and this will send out that the generator's off. So we'll go outside and check it out. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn the generator on manual mode and hopefully it'll send out a text and we'll check it out. Let's start the generator. Manual, let's get a nice view of it. And we got a text. Text says generator on. So now let's look inside and let's see what is going on with the relay. Now with the generator running, the relay is now energized. As you can see, the red light's on showing that power is running to the relay because it's getting the 12 or 14 volts, somewhere in between that, from the natural gas valves on the generator. So that's coming in on the input, that's triggering the relay, which is now closing the circuit between the normally open and the COM, and that's then being picked up by the sensor, the contact sensor, which is then sending out the text saying that the generator is running. Alright, so now let's shut it off. Put it in automatic mode. And we got a text. All right, let's just put this in automatic mode first. All right, generator ready. And let's take a look. So we got another text, generator off. The generator is now off. So we know the status of the generator. So if you're not home, you can know what your generator is doing without having to pay for the expensive Briggs & Stratton notification system. Hope this helps you. Any comments, put in the section.